Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Thursday, 7th November 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Police launch high-level probe into murder of MP Assot Michael in Antigua. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Antigua and Barbuda reeling from the murder of independent member of parliament for St. Peter, Assot Michael. He was slain at his home in Dry Hill, where his body was found in a pool of blood on Tuesday morning. It has sent shock waves across the nation as residents seek to come to grips with the first murder of a legislator in its history. Police have zeroed in on a suspect in the murder, but are not divulging further information as the probe is at a delicate stage. ABS's Andrina Athil de Souza reports.
The nation mourns the tragic passing of the Honourable Assot Michael, Member of Parliament for the St. Peter constituency. Commissioner of Police Atlee Rodney says the authorities have now launched a homicide investigation after Michael's body was found in a pool of blood in his home this morning.
There are some injuries on the body which now opens up a homicide investigation as to the circumstances that led to those injuries.
He says that all resources will be deployed to investigate the crime.
We are going to use all the resources that we have locally, regionally, and internationally. I will be speaking to my regional partners, I'll be speaking to my international partners, and whatever resources that we need, we will use everything to address such a serious crime. It is a very heinous crime when you see that type of injury and that somebody's lying in that condition.
Commissioner Rodney also appeals to the public for assistance with ongoing investigations.
We will use this opportunity to appeal to the general public that they must respect the family, the privacy of the family, and be careful of the type of information they're going to share. At the same time, we will ask them, anyone who have any information, any indication as to what may have transpired, to step forward. This is a national event in the term that everybody have a part to play, and we will call for every citizen to play their part in solving this matter.
Meanwhile, one of Assot Michael's closest friends and campaign manager reflected on his generosity and kindness.
My heart is broken. Mr. Michael, remember, I have 3 boys who used to attend the St. Joseph Academy School, and Mr. Michael is there for me through thick and thin, assisting me with my sons, assisting everybody in St. Peter's. I could call and say, Mr. Michael, someone in the constituency called, and they said they need assistance with this, and he said, what are you waiting on? Come. That's the kind of person. He's open-minded. I love him so much.
MP Michael's murder is now the 11th homicide for 2024. Andrina Athil de Souza, ABS News.
There were reactions of anguish at the crime scene on Dry Hill on Tuesday morning from individuals who said they knew the Member of Parliament Assot Michael for decades. They emphasized how he had assisted countless people over the years in tangible ways. Take a listen.
Going to Sunnyside International, he and his sisters, Soraya and Teresa. Going to Sunnyside International, he and his sisters, Soraya and Teresa. I know the whole family. And, at this time, it is really heart-wrenching. We do not know what it is behind of this, but whatever it is, God is in control.
I was shocked I was in shock. I wonder who can do this to him, because he was such a good man. Help with everybody. So I don't know why somebody would want to do him like that. You know?
What are you feeling now?
Oh, stress, depressed.
Well, I should say the last time I spoke to Miss Carnival in Recreation Grounds, and he came by the boat and he shopped and he bring a lot of people and he asked me, "You don't think you want a new stove?" I said, "No, Mr. Michael, I'm good, you know." But somebody that give, and I think it's hard on a lot of us, because it's somebody that you can go to when you have any little problem, and Christmas time, you know that your children are going to get something, a toy, even though you know you don't get from nobody else. You know Mr. Michael is going to have something here, and it's kind of real hard. Serious, it's hurting, and it's hurting to a lot of, it's everybody. It's oh God, hard.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Trisha Gay Kelly of CVM Live reports that Indicom out of Jamaica encourages a policy revision for the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
The number of police shootings in Jamaica is increasing, so too fatalities. This has generated concerns within the Independent Commission of Investigations, Indicom, which is tasked with analyzing each incident. The commission published the statistics on Friday. Assistant Commissioner Hamish Campbell detailed the number of fatal shootings since the start of 2024.
As of yesterday, the 31st of October, 149 people have been killed so far this year, and a further 66 people shot and injured. And as pointed out, the current projection shows that unless trends are reversed by the security forces in Jamaica, 2024 will see the highest level of security force fatal incidents since 2013.
Indicom remains hopeful this will not become Jamaica's reality. Sometimes there was tension between Indicom and the police when the body was just formed. Commissioner Hugh Faulkner said the agency does not find pleasure in bringing law enforcement officers to court.
The Commission does not seek to or wish to see an increase in either police fatal shootings or other related matters, nor an increase in the prosecution of police officers. Our mandate is to investigate matters in an objective, impartial, and independent manner.
With this information, Faulkner is urging the Jamaica Constabulary Force to revisit its policies and make the necessary adjustments to mitigate the occurrence of such matters.
It is recommended that the JCF High Command review and examine closely the circumstances resulting in their officers being charged, and the leadership should effect the necessary changes required, whether through policies, training, or other means, to reduce conduct which lead to charge.
Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
The Eastern Caribbean's inflation crisis, exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, was the focus of a recent symposium where economists like St. Lucia's chief economist, Janea Leons, analyzed the situation and discussed strategies for economic resilience. Joachim Duplessis of HTS News Force has more.
A leading economist from the government of St. Lucia provided a sobering analysis of the factors driving the region's inflation crisis at the Regional Economic Development Symposium here in October. Janai Leos, chief economist at the St. Lucia Ministry of Finance, outlined how the COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically impacted inflation trends in the Eastern Caribbean.
If you look at inflation over the last 20-odd years, the price level has actually increased by almost 53% over those 20-odd 20 odd years. So the price of a typical good or service now is almost 53% higher than it would have been 20 odd years ago. And that increase, you would note, prior to 2020 was largely in the region of 37%. But between 2020 to now, we have gone from 35% to 53%.
Leos explained that prior to the pandemic, inflation in St. Lucia and OECS region had been on a downward trajectory. However, the supply chain disruptions and demand shocks of COVID-19 reversed that trend.
I wanted to briefly explore what would St. Lucia's inflation have looked like if we did not have a pandemic. And the purple line in that blue area there is showing what the rate of inflation could have been if you assume that the trend that you had observed over the last 20 odd years remained the same. And you're seeing that inflation would have followed that sort of downward trajectory that we are seeing when we look at both the regional and St. Lucia's inflation as well.
The economist noted that even without the pandemic, factors like weather-related shocks and military conflicts could still impact future inflation.
The most recent data point for 2024, if we look at the first 6 months of the year for 2024 and we compare it to the first 6 months of 2023, we are expected to see some deflation. I'm just showing what would have been the trajectory or what could have been the trajectory in the purple line without the effect of COVID. And you are seeing that had there not been that shock and had we continued at our long-term trend, you would have seen a relatively stable price movement. As again, if you look at the 2014 inflation, cumulative inflation should have been around 34%.
However, he expressed cautious optimism that the rate of inflation would moderate in the coming years.
The expectation for inflation is to moderate, and this is the inflation rate. So the expectation is that and this is from the IMF, that from the high of 4% that we saw in 2023 to fall to 1.2, 1.3%, and to sort of moderate over the next few years.
Leos outlined measures taken by the state to cushion the blow of the historic global inflation.
We would have recalled the subsidization of flour and wheat, the increase there for the bakers, and also similar increases in the subsidies for sugar as well. And you would have recalled concessions to the public service and also concessions to government workers as well, and the PAYE reform, which was meant to boost disposable incomes as a response to the shock.
Regional policymakers are grappling with the fallout from the historic inflation surge, which has eroded consumer purchasing power and strained government budgets. Symposium participants are exploring strategies to build economic resilience and shield citizens from the cost of living crisis. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.